going from 0 to 60 with the Black Cauldron. So let's get cracking! Hello all my explorers, and welcome back to Loren's Adventures Out There. And if you're new, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. My name is Loren, and I'm with Castles, Capes, and Clones, where we discuss everything in the Disney universe. We do unboxings and hauls, pins, box swaps, Disney news, Disney reviews, and more. So if that sounds fun to you, we'd love it if you would subscribe to our channel, hit the bell for notifications, and do like this post, as it really does help us out. So we continue our series from 0 to 60, where we look at the films of the Walt Disney Animation Studios in chronological order. So we've started with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and we'll finish with the 60th film, Encanto. So today, we are in the middle of the 80s, and we will be talking about the Black Cauldron. This is a new era for Disney in kind of many different ways. Many regard this as the start of the Dark Ages. It was 3 films that were the Dark Ages for Disney. This doesn't mean that the films were awful. In fact, like Great Mouse Detective, I really love that film, Oliver and Company, and I've really grown to love the Black Cauldron. But it was the Dark Ages because at that time Disney had a new regime. Michael Eisner was in charge of Disney. Jeffrey Katzenberg was head of the studios. And I think that they didn't know what to do with animation at the time. They moved the animation off the lot after this film. And it was really kind of a bleak time for animation at Walt Disney Animation Studios. So anyway, the Black Cauldron is based on Lloyd Alexander's series, The Chronicles of Prydain, and based on Welsh mythology and folklore. It tells a tale of a young boy named Taran, who's a pig farmer or pig protector, and he's charged with protecting Henwin the pig, which has mystical abilities, from getting into the clutches of the Horned King, who wants to kind of revive his soulless army and take over the earth. So anyway, what ends up happening is Henwin does get kidnapped, and Taran goes to find him and ends up meeting different kinds of people like Princess Eilonwy and the bard Fluter Flam, Little Gurgi, the fairy folk. It's just a fantasy adventure film, which is very similar to like The Dark Crystal or Willow at the time that the fantasy films were big in the mid-80s. And so this seemed to fit in very well. It took me years to actually finish this film. Like, I don't know why, but every time I would start the film, I'd fall asleep. And then by the end, I didn't understand what was happening. So finally, actually took a conversation with Jake from Jake's Disney Afternoon. I was telling him how much I hated the film, and he's like, "What?" And so I decided to give it a chance. Jake, I give these movies a chance, and I forced myself to stay awake during the whole thing, and I actually enjoyed it. Like it's very much an 80s fantasy film, and that's what it is. That's not to say that it didn't go through lots of problems. They really did a lot of development on this film, going through a lot of different character designs. At one point, they pulled Milk Call out of retirement on Terran, Princess Ilanwi, Fluter Flam, and some others. And you can kind of see his stamp on those particular designs. The film was optioned in 1973, and it was actually set to come out after The Rescuers, but because of these problems, it was pushed back to 1984. And then ultimately it was pushed back to 1985 because there was a screen test that was done, and children found the ending particularly disturbing. And so Jeffrey Katzenberg, who was the new head of Walt Disney Studios, had the scene taken out, and so they had to redo everything and had it come out in 1985. Now, it's interesting because when you ask most people if they've seen this film or what they think of the film, it's not in very high regard. But what's amazing is that this film actually had a lot of firsts for Disney. It was actually a groundbreaking film. It was the first one that was filmed in Dolby Stereo. They developed a process called the Animation Photo Transfer Process, or APT, which was a new way of transferring art to cells, and it won an Academy Award for this process. But the other big thing that this film was known for, first animated feature to have computer animation in it. They animated bubbles, a boat, some other things. So this was the first film to have it. Now, they were working on The Great Mouse Detective at the same time, which also had computer animation. But since this film came out first, it is the first film with computer animation, if you can believe it. So it's interesting how groundbreaking this film is, yet nobody really thinks about it or holds it in high regard. I encourage people to try to watch it again. I know it's not a musical. It's not particularly exciting for those who don't like fantasy, but as a fantasy film, I think that it's great. I mean, I really enjoy it. So anyway, unfortunately, the film opened to not very great critical reception, nor did it do well in the box office. In fact, it bombed. And so that is really a big reason why people have the regard that it does today. It just didn't do well. Disney doesn't push it very much, and so there you have it with the Black Cauldron. So next week we are going to talk about The Great Mouse Detective, which is one of my personal favorite films. Anyway, if you had a good time, please do subscribe to our channel, hit the bell for notification, and do like our posts, as it really does help us out. Visit us on all of our socials down below. Visit our website at www.castlescapesandclones.com. Thank you so much, everybody, and we will see you later. Bye!